Yeah, that's right.
Good morning. It's Monday, July 9th, 2018. It's 9 a.m. This is the Muscatine County Board of Supervisors. I'd like to call the meeting to order. First is to review the agenda.
Move to approve as presented.
Second.
Got a motion by Jeff, second by Matt. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Number 3 is receive comments from the public. Is there anyone that would like to step forward and address the board? Seeing no one come forward, we'll move to number 4 with items with County Engineer Keith White. Morning, Keith.
Good morning. Good morning.
First on the is discussion and possible action for bid letting for longitudinal sub drains on 231st Street G28 project LFM 76-4 7X-70.
Looks like we have 4 here. We will read just the totals. Reminder that unit prices do govern, so we will check the math. And the first is from Peterson Contractors, Inc. I have an Iowa DOT bid bond. Of a total of $427,033.40, 427-03340. Peterson's out of Rhinebeck, Iowa, normally. The next is Manats Inc. of Brooklyn, Iowa. We have an Iowa DOT bid bond. We have a total of $514,651.08, 514-651-08. Next is DeLong Construction of Washington, Iowa. And we have an Iowa DOT bid bond. We have a total of $437,765.80, 437-765-80. And we have one from Triple B Construction of Wilton, Iowa. have an Iowa DOT bid bond. We have a total of $527,574.25. 527-57425. We'll check the math here while you do other business and let you know, but it certainly looks like DeLong is.
Peterson. Peterson is the lowest.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry. Okay.
I would agree with that.
Questions on that?
Any questions, board?
Nope.
We need a motion?
Not, yeah.
Not-
No.
We'll check the math there.
Check the math first, okay, very good. We'll move on,
Before the end, we'll,
yeah, for the,
Come back.
okay. We'll move on to B, discussion and possible action to approve a contract, bond, and certificate of insurance for L-CUL 187370 box culvert on Iron City Avenue.
yeah, this is with Iowa Bridge and Culvert of Washington from the letting we had a while back for $255,685.
Okay.
Move to approve.
Second. Motion by Jeff, second by Bob. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. C is discussion and possible action to approve various utility permits.
Yeah, we have one from REC, or Eastern Iowa Light and Power of Wilton. And they're basically running a short distance along New Era Road and crossing the road to serve a private property. It looks like we're near 3058 New Era Road. And the other one we have is for Mid-American Energy, Iowa City, Iowa. And they are running a short piece of main along Garfield, about 100 feet along Garfield Avenue to serve a residence there, 1071 Garfield. That's all the permits.
I'll move to approve.
Got a motion by Jeff, second by Nathan, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Anything else, Keith?
Not a lot, just a reminder, we've got several other things, maintenance projects, again, seal coat and reclamations out with an informal bid opening the 11th. So we'll probably be back next week with results of that. And those projects are not to start until after July 30th due to RAGBRAI. And then we have the hot mix resurfacing, maintenance resurfacing out with an informal bid on August 1st. do want to mention, I think due to the really wet condition and the rains we had, we've got several places where the road has sloughed off that we're surveying and working on design right now. But probably going to be in the multiple tens of thousands, if not above 100, to fix those damages. And the other item, I'd like to catch the representatives on the Bi-State Policy Committee to talk about SWAP before you attend that meeting. And I'd like to catch the Magic members also. That's all I have.
Okay.
Hey Keith, question on something else. Regarding the Muscatine Power and Water fiber optics, you know, months ago
Yeah.
we talked about correct permits.
Yeah.
When they were being handled and they being processed. So is that all up to speed and nothing behind on any of that?
I think so, but it reminds me of something else I was going to mention before I come in here with a book. You know, we had it last year, this is a little different, but Mid-American has sent us a 256 pages of drawings for 55 miles of fiber just serving their facilities. Well, yeah, we hope to get started in 2 to 3 weeks. Well, it's going to take us 2 to 3 weeks or a month just to review 55 miles of fiber. And once again, we may want to thinking about changing our everything is free sort of policy. You know, our permits say we can choose to inspect and we will charge them the cost of inspection. And I don't know who's going to get to be first, but we're getting, again, 55 miles there. We're getting hundreds of miles of fiber out there that if we ever break one, you know, it costs us thousands or tens of thousands if we break one. And the reality is the contractors sometimes just do what they want to do. But we don't have the staff to, you know, when you got a staff of 3 people, you can't pull off of all of our regular work and say, go spend the next 6 months inspecting these people. But we may have to think about what we're going to do. And, you know, maybe Mid-American draws the short straw here, but it's like, I mean, their drawings, I had a quick look at them, and it's all great if it gets built that way. The problem is Scott's standing in the ditch out there contemplating the day, and they decide he's in the way, so they're going around him, going somewhere else. It doesn't go where it's supposed to be. And, you know, our past experience there with CenturyLink, I know we're dealing with a different company and a different subcontractor, but I don't have any reason to expect this to go especially well.
Maybe if you perceive some potential issues, you should put together some type of a plan to address those and bring them back to the board. I mean, it's nice you come up here and make us aware of it. You probably know a heck of a lot more about what we should be looking for and how we should address it.
I'm thinking we maybe start deciding that we are going to inspect these things, and I don't know how we do that short of hiring a consultant to have somebody out there. And it's just like the work that Alliant was doing with that last pipeline, you know, which has its own piece of the code, and we are definitely charged with inspecting and they're charged with paying. But, you know, that's like $100,000 for the consultant to inspect 8 miles of that. Now we're talking 55 miles of fiber. But I think we need to be thinking that way. and that probably will result in legislative pushback. That's my guess. These people typically, you know, have quite the lobby, the utilities, and we don't, so. But it's just, it's something that's happening out there that's, you know, gonna impact a lot of folks.
I'm just curious, Keith, when they're running that many miles, what's typically the amount of crews that they would have to install that? You have
No idea.
Any
That's,
idea?
that's just in our county. I know they're coming out of Johnston, and I know they're going into Louisa. They're hooking, as near as I can tell, everything they own, and they own the whole state, together with fiber. Which
Is that something you'd look at?
somebody decides that that's cost effective, I guess, but
Well, I mean, typically, anything.
you're talking millions.
Falls under different departments. We charge for permits for lease companies, if they're on private lease property, electrical, I felt for a long time. Because I should be compensated for my fee, because there's a lot of work these days that they don't fuck us, but again, like, it's right, a lot of power, right, it's different.
I can easily envision the problem that you're talking about. Easily envision that happening.
Yeah, because
So
what if
why
they
don't we
run up
try to
too
take
close
some
to a
type of-
farm field and the farmer hooks it with a plow or something, and now all of a sudden, you know, are they getting a
We
bill
need
for
to
the
address it.
expense or whatever, or it could be, because it's not just like, you can't just splice it.
Yeah, that's a valid concern that Keith has.
And I'm sure no one looked at the
What I
cost,
don't
but
know
it's
is
not
if,
how they
you know,
work.
any of the other counties
Their
have
guaranteed return on investment.
successfully started charging to inspect these things, but it's like, oh my gosh, this is, you know, 55 miles of fiber to go with the other 1,000 miles we probably already have out there.
I'm sure we're gonna have the same issues as they knife through these blacktop and concrete driveways.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's a lot of matter of there's not somebody standing there watching them. So, that's all I had.
Okay, thank you, Keith.
Thanks.
Number 5 is discussion and possible action to authorize the chair to execute the Nichols Commercial Historic District National Register Nomination Project contract in the amount of $5,500 with Historic Preservation Commission member Lisa Wasberger. Morning, Lisa.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
So we came to you for approval when we applied for the grant, because you sign off on all the grants that we pursue since we are an entity of the county. And so this would be the first step was to deem whether downtown Nichols was eligible. So we received a grant to pay for those services, to have a historian come in, look at downtown Nichols, and to tell us whether they felt there was enough historic data there to even determine if they were eligible for the National Register. So the historian said, yes, I think this property is eligible, and the next step is to pursue the nomination. And she does a study, she determines whether or not she believes it's eligible, which could be based off of architecture, events, you know, data, people, you know, what happened in Nichols, and plus just like what's there in the downtown. So then that went to the state of Iowa for review. They agreed. So then what we did was applied for this grant to hire the historian to write the nomination. There will be, similar to what we've done in downtown Wilton at the fairgrounds, there's a lot of volunteer hours involved, and you also have the cost of the historian. So we'll hire her to write the nomination. We'll be bringing volunteers together to help collect all of the data necessary. And then we will submit it to the state and ultimately to the federal government for review and approval. And then Nichols would be listed, the downtown area, as a historic district. One of the big benefits of that is it opens them up for funding. Certain grants and tax credits are only available if you are a historic district. Also, it's a great tourism and marketing tool. Nichols is a pretty small area, So this is actually not very expensive compared to some of the other projects we have done. We have local donors who have made informal commitments to help cover the match, so that ultimately there's no expense for the county, even though you would ultimately be on, you know, you're entering into the contract, but we are going to fundraise the money like we have for our other projects. So I think the biggest benefit of moving forward with this is that now we will have 5 historic districts in Muscatine County. We would have downtown Muscatine, Wilton, downtown West Liberty, downtown Nichols, and then the county fairgrounds. And so having people, this is, like I said, it's a big tourism and marketing tool. There's a lot of individuals who are interested in these types of road trips, et cetera. And so I also like the fact that it continues to spread our efforts around to other parts of the county and offer, you know, we're spreading out the resources. So what questions do you have for me about this or anything else?
When will they know, so the historian will write the grant application.
Right.
When will they know?
So we'll hire the historian to collect all of the data. Is a pretty big process. So for the fair project, for example, we probably had between 1,000 and 1,500 volunteer hours on that project, and it took us about 12 months because you're reading through newspapers, you know, you're getting documents from people who live there, people who have lived there. The historian has to put together a compelling argument. You basically end up with an archive of the entire history of that footprint. So I would assume with Nichols, because it's smaller, we'd maybe have like 6 months or so of collecting data. And then it's usually, by the time you go through the entire review process, you submit it to the state, they have so many days to review, they submit it to the federal government. I would say probably within 12, definitely 18 months, the project, it would be listed on the National Register.
So is it an automatic thing that gets listed?
It's not automatic, which is why we hire a historian to write these.
Sure.
So, you know, we try to write as many of our own grants and do as much of our own paperwork, bookkeeping as possible. We feel like we have a pretty good skill set for that on our commission, but some things are just outside of our wheelhouse, and when you're gonna put this much time and investment in it, it's best to partner with somebody who has experience and knows what the federal government is looking for. They may come back with questions, et cetera. So, like I said, we'll cover as much of the costs with fundraising and volunteer time as possible, but this $5,000 will definitely be money well spent to make sure that our nomination gets approved.
Lisa, on these grants that you say have been successful up to this point,
Yep.
what's been the cost to the county taxpayer?
Well, I believe I know for sure for the fair project, for Wilton, and now for Nichols, we've fundraised the match for those grants.
I don't think the county's covered a match on any of them.
That was my
And actually, for the fairgrounds, we've applied for grants a couple of times through our commission, because our commission has what's called CLG status. You have to submit reports and documentation to the state every year to prove that you are operating in a way that grants you this specific status. So we do that each year, and we are a blanket for the county. So a lot of times we're applying for grants on behalf of organizations because we have that, which means ultimately you're entering into the contract, but we never move forward until we're 99% confident that we have the funds secured to match it. I mean, we've raised probably, between grants and cash donations, between $1.5 to $2 million.
So Lisa, I know you have a next step in plan, so what's the next step in Wilton? Do you see them going for like a CDBG grant like a couple of the other communities for revitalization, or?
In Nichols?
Yeah.
Well, once we get it listed, we definitely would talk to them about CDBG, since Wilton has been successful and West Liberty applied this year. They would be a smaller project, so you have to have a certain amount of inventory to qualify, so we'd have to look and see if that's a fit. We would also work with them just on historic tax credits and grants out there if we have to restore building by building. You know, like the fairgrounds, for example, doesn't qualify for CDBG, which is that big $500,000 block grant because they're not a downtown, but we have just gone building by building and pursued funding for each of those structures individually.
Do you have, interest from the owners of these buildings to do that?
Yep, so in order to even apply for this, to solicit these services, we have to get consent from the owners because we're making this application on behalf of them. And so we've had several town halls in Nichols, because for us, you know, we work for you guys, right? And we have responsibility for the whole county. And every month when we meet, we have groups that come to us and request us to get on board and help. Probably because they know we've raised $2 million, right? And so money makes projects happen. So we go through a pretty thorough process of vetting the groups that ask us to partner to make sure we have commitment, that they feel they have fundraising resources in their own community, and that the owners of the structures are on board. So we had several town hall meetings, and then the owners had to sign a consent letter. And sometimes we have to tell people no if we just think it's not a really viable project, but this one we think is good.
Lisa, I think it sounds really cool, and I wonder, you kind of said eventually they end up with, sounds like kind of a historical dossier or whatever you're putting
Right,
in.
that's right.
Are those available to put in some kind of like an archive
Yep.
form, like we could put in
Yep.
the library, and people could say, hey, here's a book of the history of Nichols, or the history
Yes.
of the fairgrounds, or whatnot?
So for the fairgrounds, we have cataloged that at the West Liberty Library and at the fair office. And so we, you know, Wilton has theirs archived. I'm assuming downtown Muscatine does. It would be stored somewhere in Nichols. But that's also why for us as a commission, we started looking at like the jail project as well. You know, we talked about a potential and use of that would be housing artifacts, documents, and certainly these types of documents so that we have a repository. Because, you know, when we did the fairgrounds and we gave the presentation of that document and the overview that was cataloged, there was a huge crowd that turned out. And the same thing in Nichols and in Wilton. And I think there's just a lot of interest from people in this type of county history. So, and also ultimately, we want to use it as a marketing and tourism tool because people could come to Muscatine County and hit multiple stops
I don't
while
know
they're
if
here.
The Museum of History and Industry and Commerce.
That's right.
Would be interested in like keeping a copy of something like that.
Yep, and I've spoken with a couple of their board members as well. Especially if we're doing a museum, they have a museum, like, is there an opportunity to partnership?
Yeah.
And we've started those discussions,
Very
you know,
cool.
so,
Nice. Thank
yeah.
you.
Anything else?
I'll second.
Motion by Nathan, second by Jeff, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Number 6, discussion and possible action to approve ordinance 07091801, rezoning certain real property in 76 Township from A1 Agricultural District zoning classification to R1 Residential District zoning classification on the third and final reading.
So moved.
Second.
I got a motion by Bob, a second by Nathan. Any more discussion on this issue? This is a roll call vote. Bob?
Aye.
Nathan?
Aye.
Matt? Jeff?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Motion passes 4-1. Number 7, discussion and possible action to approve/deny the 2017 Disabled Veterans Homestead Tax Credit application as recommended by the Muscatine County Assessor's Office. Good morning.
Okay, for the 2017 Disabled Veterans Homestead Tax Credit, we had a total of 9 new applications. Of those, the Assessor's Office would recommend allowing 8 applications that have met the tax credit requirements. We had 1 application that did not meet the tax credit requirements, and this application we would recommend denied.
And that was which one?
That was the Swales.
So what's the criteria?
You have to be either disabled, 100% unemployable. The one that we're disallowing is a widow, and they did not have their DIC letter, which is their dependency and can't say it, compensation, sorry.
Okay, can she get that then and then refile?
If she does get the letter, then yes, she could file again.
Yeah.
But she,
Immediately, or
excuse me?
is there a certain time period that she has, or?
Well, right now, we're signing for the 2019, so if she gets a current one, she could apply for that year. So every year.
And she's aware of that, and does she know how
Um,
long she has, that she's still eligible for this enrollment period?
No, not for 17. But for 19, she could. I spoke with her on the phone, and she said she did not get her letter. And then once I get the approval from you, I will send a letter to her. And I could tell her that if it changes, she could apply again.
What is the amount of the credit?
It's your, the total taxes
basically
due.
Complete elimination of her. property
Right,
tax.
of hers, yes. We did have one individual, if it's, if the acres in urban is over 0.5, then they have to pay taxes on the rest of that. So we did have one individual that will be paying taxes.
And in making these decisions, are we also saying the city and the schools can't tax them as well, as it just for county taxes?
No, it's everyone, all the entities that are levying against that property.
Okay.
And this is a tax credit, not an abatement.
Yes, it's a tax credit.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve as recommended.
Second.
Motion by Jeff, second by Nathan. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Delaney, you'll make sure to get a hold of the disallowed, and she knows her options, and once she can get that.
Once I get the applications back.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
So
I
she's-
believe you're gonna sign those?
Yeah.
Okay.
so
I will
she's,
send it to
so
you.
she's clear on what her options are.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. Number 8, discussion and possible action to approve the following reports. County Recorder's Office report of fees collected for the quarter ending June 30th, 2018 in the amount of $63,110.70.
Move to approve.
Motion by Jeff.
Second.
Second by Bob. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. B, County Auditor's Office report of fees collected for the quarter ending June 30th, 2018 in the amount of $17,460.48.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Bob, second by Jeff. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. C is County Sheriff's Office, Civil Department's report of fees collected for the quarter ending June 30, 2018 in the amount of $21,346.98.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Nathan, second by Jeff. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. D is County Treasurer's Office report of fees collected for the quarter ending June 30, 2018 in the amount of $266,675.68.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Matt, second by Jeff. All in favor?
Aye.
Sherry?
Question on that, please. No, I don't see, Amy doesn't have anybody in here, but I noticed there's a big jump there.
Interest.
Yeah, interest.
So Sherry, how does that reflect to what was budgeted for collections, do you know?
We did a budget amendment in February to increase Amy's revenue, so
She realized that we're starting to see interest income now off of funds.
yes.
That was substantial.
It's pretty significant, because if you recall over the past few years, that was one of the big budget hits that the treasurer's office had to deal with, was the softening of interest rates, which we didn't get money on tax collections, and now it's coming back in a big way, so.
Well, and
As
the
a,
treasurer's office took on passports too, and that's increased the revenue.
right, about half.
We amended that budget in February to
Okay.
pick up additional revenue, like I said, with each sheet still, is over
Very good. Move to approve.
You already did.
We're already, yep, we're there. We already, and already had the vote on it, so.
Yeah, that's why I had to jump in.
Discussion after the fact.
That's typical,
9,
Bob, right?
discussion and possible action to approve the minutes of the July 2nd, 2018 regular meeting. Motion by Jeff, second by Nathan, all in favor.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion passes. Correspondence, Matt, do you have anything?
Nothing to know.
Jeff?
Nothing to note.
I had nothing, Nathan?
Nope.
Bob?
I had one contact regarding covenants within a subdivision, and I'll look at.
Okay. Committee reports, Bob?
On July 5th, Thursday, I had the Emergency Management Commission. It was very, very refreshing from what we're accustomed to. We have interim director Jerry Evers that put together the program for that night. We reviewed bills, approved bills. We approved a job description for a new EMC director, and we also appointed a interview committee for that, and that was the bulk of that meeting. And that's the only thing I had this past week.
Okay. Nathan?
I did not have any.
I had no committees. Jeff?
Nothing to report.
Matt?
Nothing.
Nothing, okay. Number 12, receive information from county employees. Do we have any information that needs to come forward? No, we're good. 13, items with the administration office. Age discussion and possible action to approve an application for the FY 2018-2019 Iowa Burn Justice Assistance Grant, JAG program contract in the amount of $34,562.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Bob, second by Jeff. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Is there anything else to come before the board?
Still waiting on those numbers.
Yep. Are you not ready?
I'm still checking.
Okay. Okay.
I found errors in every one of them so far.
Well, at least they're consistent.
Should we recess or?
Shall we recess? Or do you think?
Yeah, it'll be done in a few minutes here.
Okay.
You'd like to be, okay.
Okay, very good. With that, it's 9:37. We'll recess. We'll recess until 10:40.
9:45.
9:45.
I don't think 10, we give us a long.
Did I say 10?
Yeah.
Sorry.
9:45.
I thought they were bringing lunch.